Hey there, fabulous dancer. In this video, I'm going to share with you a slow yoga flow that I personally do every single morning, the first thing after I wake up. And I find that this particular yoga flow is incredible for the belly dancer body. So I'm excited to share this with you. Let's dive in. My name is Sahira, and I'm here to teach you the beautiful art of belly dance. As belly dancers, we tend to use certain muscles of our body a lot. And I found that over time, these muscles get very tight, very tense, and tend to lose elasticity and flexibility. So I'm going to share with you today a yoga flow that I have incorporated into my morning routine. This is literally the first thing I do every morning when I get out of bed. I wake up about an hour before I wake up my family, and I literally stumble into this room in the dark and I do this yoga flow. So I'm going to invite you to put it into your practice, either first thing in the morning like me if you would like, or maybe to use it to warm up or cool down after you've been moving. Some of the movements are a little bit more stretchy than others, so I would like to also invite you to always augment it to fit your body, your level of challenge that you're looking for, and your flexibility in that moment. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to invite you onto a mat if you have one. If you don't have a mat, you might want to be on a soft surface like carpet. Just make sure you're not on a slippery surface because I don't want you to slide while we're doing this. So we're going to start at the top of the mat and just take a second to breathe. Ground yourself in your body. Roll those shoulders back and down. Think nice, tall, long spine. Big deep breath in, nice slow exhale out. So now let's go ahead and take a deep breath up. We're going to bring the arms up, the hands together above the head, rolling those shoulders back and down, and then just take a tiny little upper back arch while keeping the pelvis engaged. And then releasing that back to center, and you're going to dive forward and down nice and slow, relaxing everything, the head, the neck, the arms. And if you are joining me first thing in the morning, you might want to spend a couple of extra moments here because it feels so good. While you're here, I invite you to make this a slightly dynamic stretch. So what happens if you bend and straighten the knees a little bit, perhaps shift your weight forward and back? So instead of just hanging there and breathing, I invite you to move the body, tiny little micro movements to get into all of the creases, right? And to get all of the snap, crack, the pop out. If it's comfortable for you, you're welcome to bend the knees more fully and bring the hips down to the heels and kind of roll yourself into a little ball. Take another deep breath here. And now using your hands for support to come out of this position, pushing in slightly, taking your weight into your hands, lifting the hips up to the sky, and finding your center, your balance one more time. From here, you're going to plant the hands and step the feet back. Just take your time stepping the feet back and bringing it into a plank. You can hold this for as long or as little as you would like, but if you're going to hold it for any length of time, you want to think long neck, engaged abdominals, rolling those shoulders back and down the body, and you're looking slightly in front of you, not between the hands. If it is comfortable, you're going to bend the elbows and come down here into a little tricep push-up into cobra. So releasing yourself down onto the mat, releasing those toes, squeezing the glutes, pushing up as much as is comfortable. You can use simply the back muscles. You can push into the hands a bit, or if it feels good to you, you can really extend the arms, straightening the elbows, squeezing the glutes, lifting up out of your spine and being sure that you're not collapsing down in your shoulders. Nice long spine, nice long neck. Release that back down, and then go ahead and take it, push it back into a child's pose to stretch back that back, to stretch that back out. From here, bring it onto all fours. Make sure your hands are underneath your shoulders, your knees are underneath your hips, and I'm going to invite you to take your back hand and thread it through the front arm and twist. If it feels good, you can set that shoulder on the mat, set the head on the mat, and you can even press a little bit with the palm that is on the mat to get a little extra stretchy stretch in there, and just keep breathing. And then come back up to all fours and reverse that. Take the other hand through, lay the head on the mat. Use the hand that's on the mat to rock yourself gently to get a stretch in that shoulder and the side of the back. And coming back here to center. We're going to bring it back into a plank for just a second here. This really gets the body warmed up and ready to go. And then we're going to push it back into downward dog. So the first downward dog I do in the morning, I take some time to really walk that dog, pushing one heel and then the other into the mat. And then what I often do as well is I exaggerate that movement and twist my hips down, one and then the other, by bending the knee. My hips always pop really loudly when I do this, and it feels so good. So feel free to make this a dynamic stretch, right? Pushing through the heels, twisting through the upper body, twisting through the lower body, whatever feels good to you, right? Nice long spine, shoulders are pulled back and down, pushing that chest through the arms, and then maybe settle into a slightly more still downward dog. Then take a nice deep breath. Now this next move is a little bit more stretchy. Take it at your own pace or leave it out if you would like. I'm going to put all my weight into the left foot and I'm going to raise my right foot in the air. If this is comfortable, now I invite you to flex the foot, bend the knee, and allow that leg to drop slightly behind you. And if you could imagine peeking under your right arm, you should feel an incredible stretch in your hip flexor. And as belly dancers, we do a lot of stuff with that hip flexor. So this feels really, really good. Hold it there for just a second and breathe. And then extend the leg, point the toe, lift up, pull the knee into the chest, pull it forward, look in between the hands and try your best to place that foot in between the hands. And then kind of adjust your feet so that you have a right angle here in this front knee. So your knee is over your ankle. Foot is placed on the floor. You can hold it here, or I always like to take that back knee to the floor to feel a little bit more supported and to get a little bit more opening up in that left hip. Kind of hold it here and breathe. And then what I do is while I am here, you can either keep the toes tucked in the back or release the foot, whatever's more comfortable for you. Using your hands here for support and balance, you're just going to slowly nod your head yes, down and up. You may find, interestingly enough, that when you nod your head down, you feel more of a stretch in your hip flexor. So just keep breathing and go with that. Keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. And breathing. Excellent. All right, from here, you're going to straighten that front leg and keep the chest released over the front leg. Getting a beautiful stretch now in the hamstring. Breathing, and then you're going to flow just a little bit in between those two positions, bending the front knee, bringing the hip down, lifting the chest up, straightening the front leg to stretch the hamstring, pushing that back heel towards the ground. Let's do that one more time. Looking up, and then straightening that front knee, straightening the back leg, pushing the back heel towards the ground. Now we're going to turn the only direction you can turn, and you'll pardon me as I give you my butt for just a second. We're going to turn here towards our left and just hang here for a second. You can grab the elbows if that feels good, or you can use your hands on the floor to sort of shift you side to side, or if it feels good, you can take a little tiny lunge to open the inner thigh side to side, using your hands for support the whole time, especially if you're doing this first thing in the morning like I like to do. The body's not quite awake, so you don't want to make it too intense. And then once you're done there, take a nice deep breath, and we're going to turn it to the other side. So now your left foot will be in front of you and your right foot behind. You're in that beautiful hamstring stretch. Both legs are straight. Back heel is pushing towards the ground. Hands are helping you here in the front. Nice long spine, nice long neck. Shoulders pulling back and down. And then we're going to shift forward, bending that knee, adjusting if you need to, making sure this knee is about over the ankle. Oh, and then getting into that hip stretch. And then you can nod the head yes. Nice and slow. Shoulders pulled back down from the ears. Abdominals pulled in. Nice long spine. Excellent. Now shift back again. legs are straight. And then flow forward into that second stretch, engaging the glute if you would like a little extra push in that hip. Flowing back one more time into that nice long leg hamstring stretch and back to the front. Now we are going to go back into our downward dog. I'm tucking those toes under, engaging my abdominals. Imagine lifting that foot off the ground, taking it back into the downward dog, pushing those heels into the ground, taking a nice deep breath, and taking that left foot now, the one that was just in between the hands, taking it up towards the ceiling if this is comfortable. If that feels good, you can flex the foot, bend the knee, allow that foot to drop slightly behind you, and look slightly under your left arm. And don't forget to breathe. Keep breathing. And then when you're ready, you're going to put that foot back down on the ground. And you can walk your feet slowly up to center, up to your hands, and release there. Just dangle for just a sec. And as you begin to roll up, I invite you to do this very slowly. And I also invite you to sort of slightly twist and bend with the knees as you do it. So instead of coming up straight up the middle, I invite you to play with bending and straightening the knees as you come up. I like this sort of active, dynamic stretch as I come up, because it allows me to get into more muscles in the back and in the hips, which we as belly dancers need quite a bit of. Now we're going to take it to the floor. I invite you to take it down as gracefully as you can, but let me tell you, when I do this first thing in the morning, it's sometimes not very graceful. So I'm going to tuck one leg behind me, take it down to the floor. And now we are going to sit here and we're going to stack one knee over the other ankle. Yeah, and your goal here is to get the legs fairly flat. Don't push it too much. Think about lifting up in the body, engaging those feet by flexing them slightly, and then tilting forward from the hips. This should feel really good. It's one of those excellently painful stretches, yes. And then just take it to wherever feels comfortable for you and take a nice deep breath. Think about keeping the spine as long as you can for as long as you can, and then you can slowly round it over. And just hold it there for a moment and breathe. Breathe into that hip. Whichever leg you have on top, just take a mental note. I have my right on top. If you're mirroring me, you might have your left. Just take a mental note because we'll switch in a moment. Now take it over to one side, doesn't matter which. Elbow on the floor if you can, or you can lift that elbow up off the floor. Whatever feels best for you. And stretch that arm. Ooh, stretch that arm and encourage that other hip towards the ground. If you want to do a couple little wrist circles here. And now we're going to trace a little half circle on the floor in front of us as we take it over to the other side. Elbow to the ground on the other side. Arm comes up over the head. Take your time there. It's so delicious. Pushing that other hip towards the floor. A little wrist circle. And then engaging and lifting up as you come to center. We're going to take those legs into a straddle stretch. The goal here is not doing the splits. It's just getting a nice gentle stretch here. We're going to allow our body to come down, keeping the spine nice and long as we come down. If you have to shift and adjust your feet and your legs at any point, feel free to do that. And keep breathing. Having this little dialogue with your body. Every day it's a little bit different. But as dancers, we definitely want to take care of those muscles that we are using over and over in similar ways, right? We have a lot of repetitive motion in this dance, and it is so important to keep stretched. So I really encourage you to stretch every day in some way to help those muscles that do all of that work stretch and elongate and relax. So you're here in the center. Now we're going to take one elbow to the inside of one leg and take the arm up and over. Oh, encouraging that other hip towards the ground, trying to keep the arm up over the ear. And then we're going to twist, bringing the chest towards the leg, imagining touching your pinky finger to your pinky toe. And breathe. And then you're going to roll it back up to center. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Elbow to the inside of the leg, arm comes up and over. Take your time here. I feel like that slow developing into that stretch is so good. Feel free to groan, so I'm not the only one. Pushing that hip towards the ground, reaching with that arm, little wrist circle if you would like. And then taking the chest towards the leg, taking your inner hand to the outside corner of your foot, pinky to pinky. And then bringing it back up. We're almost done. You're going to now cross the other leg over. So remember which leg was on top the last time? We'll take the other leg on top this time and do the same thing, flexing those feet, ankle to knee, slowly taking it forward. Breathing. If you have any particular muscle that's talking to you right now, just breathe a little extra oxygen into it. Give it a little love. And feel free to make all these stretches slightly dynamic. Sometimes it feels a lot better than holding the stretch to sort of shift a little bit in it. Tiny little micro movements to work in and around those muscles. Nice deep breath here. And then we'll take the arm to one side, either elbow to the ground or hand, whatever feels better. Taking that other arm up and over, allowing it to take its time, deliciously lifting above, encouraging that other hip towards the ground. And then we're going to circle the body forward. The other arm comes up and over. Ooh, encouraging that other hip towards the ground. And then engage to lift that up. Now we're going to slowly take ourselves up to standing, right? So bring those feet underneath you. Maybe you push forward. Use your hands for support. Bring the feet underneath, and we're going to do one more nice roll up, feeling free to take tiny little micro bends in the knee, little micro movements in the body. Head is going to be the last thing that comes up. We're going to take one more deep breath up. And exhale. Nice job. Fabulous dancer. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful yoga flow. I would love for you to join me and add it to your daily routine. Like I said, I have been doing this every single morning for at least the last 2 years, and I have noticed that makes a huge difference in how quickly I recover from my practice sessions and how limber my body feels when I go into the dance. So I would really enjoy to hear your comments. Let me know what you like best about this yoga flow. Let me know if you're adding it into your routine. And thank you so much for joining me here on the dance floor.